Hello, my friend, all the way from Abu Dhabi. How are you?
Very good, very good, very good.
I
How
have
about
no
yourself?
idea. I have no idea, okay, if I pronounce your last name correctly. How do you say that?
You can call me Oki. Everybody calls me Oki.
Oki, Oki, Oki Onyegbloul? No,
Onyebule.
Onyebule, Onyegbule.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You know, there's so many women out there listening that have boyfriends, husbands, fathers, sons, and there's so many men also listening to the show. And you know what? They whine a lot, and they sometimes tell me on social media, Marta, why don't you ever have content for us? So exclusively for them and their women in their lives, Oki is here.
I'm here for you, Martha.
Okay, so tell everybody how you decided to leave banking and start doing bespoke tailoring.
Oh boy, which do you want, the long version or the short version?
Let's do the short version, my friend.
Well, I trained as an investment banker, and before that, I was an electrical engineer. Spent most of my career on Wall Street, and I retired. I took early retirement in 2017, and I had to figure out what next to do in my next phase of my life. And clothing is something I've always loved. It's part of my uniform. Today, I'm wearing my banker uniform, which is a navy suit and a light shirt. And so having spent so many years wearing suits, I got to learn a lot about tailoring. At some point, I had my suits made in Europe, between London and Italy, or between England and Italy. And so during that period, I was able to acquire quite a body of knowledge, which I started writing on as a blog. I started a blog in 2015 or so, and that blog basically grew into the social media platform that we have today, and ultimately created the brand AskOkey.
Oh my God.
One thing to talk about. It's one thing to talk about it and sort of talk about the theory and write about it. People wanted to see the products that actually reflected the philosophy of my style or my writing.
Okay.
So we actually were sort of led into creating this brand AskOkey.
Well, you look very dapper, my young friend.
Oh,
You look
thank you
very
very
dapper.
much.
So let's make a list of the biggest mistakes that men make when they want to dress formal.
I'll break it into two parts. I'll take two first, and then we can cover the other three.
Okay,
in a second.
great.
For the first one, you requested specifically to talk about the brown shoes.
Yeah, my producer is obsessed with guys with dark suits and brown shoes.
Absolutely. So we're going to dig into it. Well, Martha, to put it very simply, the suit as we know it today, well, the suit as in the business suit comes from the military. It comes from the regiment. So before civilians started wearing suits, they were actually uniforms. You know, this was talking about 300 years ago, 3 centuries ago. And so if you think about the structure of the suit and the way it's worn to look like a military man. And so military, you wear black boots with your dress uniform. That's just the way it's always been. That is the history behind black shoes. So we're going to talk about a history. We've talked about history. Let's talk about the aesthetics of it. Okay? So now, when you think about a figure visually, okay, a figure looks better when it is grounded. So if you look at it from the top to the bottom, right, even if you look at an architectural structure, the base is wider than the top. And so when you look at the figure of a man, you want to have this impression of a solid figure that is solidly rooted in the ground. And black gives you that rooting in the ground that brown doesn't. Brown makes it look like you're floating in the air. A pair of black shoes grounds it anchors the man into the ground, especially when you have a suit on. So again, visually, it just looks more solid. A man comes across as more, let's say, has more gravitas.
Yeah, gravitas. Oh, that's my favorite Roman virtue. I just spoke about that on Instagram, by the way. I love gravitas.
Right. Gravitas. So black shoes give you this gravitas that lighter colored shoes like brown don't. Some will argue that brown as a color goes with navy, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It may pair a brown tie might go with a navy suit, but again, visually, black anchors a suit, especially a dark business suit, better than brown. So one is the tradition of black shoes from the military or from the regiment. It's just a traditional thing to do.
And two is the grounding.
The aesthetic, right? Black grounds a man and gives him more gravitas than a brown pair of shoes.
Love it. Okay.
That is why you will never see a head of state. You will never see a head of state wearing brown shoes with his dark shoes.
You're absolutely right.
You will never see a president or a head of state or anyone of substance, like a CEO of a big company. You will never find them wearing brown shoes with a dark suit, always black shoes. It communicates authority and gravitas and power.
Okay, so the question is, so when can you use brown shoes?
Well, Martha, brown shoes are absolutely beautiful. I love them myself, and they develop a beautiful patina, which is why a lot of men are attracted to them, because black shoes don't patina. When you polish them, they shine, but brown shoes at the age, they become more beautiful. And I think that's why a lot of men love them. So they're beautiful. Now, when do you wear them? You wear them with more casual suits. Again, if blacks are to be worn with business and formal suits, brown is a casual color in the color family as far as style goes. Black is formal, brown is casual, which means you wear your brown shoes with your casual suits, like your tan, your brown, your greens, your earth tones, your tweed suits, your tweed jackets. Again, a little bit
linens
of
and cottons and things like that.
Linens, cottons, things like that. Absolutely. A little bit of history, as I was saying earlier. Back in the day, in the city of London, which is really where the suit originated from, you only wore a dark suit to the city, right? There's a saying, no brown in town. There's an old saying, it's a very old saying in London, no brown in town, which means no brown suits or no brown shoes when you're in the city. When you go to the country, to your country estate, or to your holiday home in the weekend, you can wear brown. You wear your tweed suits, you wear your corduroy suits, you wear your linen suits. You're in Mexico, so you have the beach close to you, or sort of it's a more tropical weather. You like linen suits. Wear your beige linen suits, your cream linen suits, and tan shoes. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful combination. Okay? So, or your olive linen suits and your brown shoes. It's beautiful. But do not mix your brown shoes with your navy or your grays or black, which are exclusively business and formal colors.
Love it. Okay, got that down. Another grave mistake, and I don't want to lose time before we talk about this, because I see this, Okey, all the time, and it drives me crazy. So it's sleeves that are too long to the point that they're like covering the man's knuckles, or pants that are so long that they're literally breaking at the foot of the shoe, or a too long of a blazer, or too tight, too short. So you got all the versions. So shoot, my friend.
Okay, so let's start with the trousers, because this is a loaded subject, right? So we talk about the trousers and then we talk about the jacket. Yeah. Now, the common mistake we see today, actually, Martha, with all due respect, I think what we see more is men that wear their trousers too short, right? Of course, men that wear their trousers too long and they're poodling at the shoe or sort of at the ankle. But what we see today, and people consider quote unquote stylish or quote unquote Italian style, is wearing their trousers, a little bit too short, right? Now, what is the proper length for your trousers? There are two ways to do it. There's what you call a full break on your trousers, okay? There's something called a full break. There's something called a half break, and there's something called no break. In all instances, your trousers should at least touch the shoes. They should touch the vamp of your shoes. So the front of your shoe is the vamp, right? Where you lace them up. That's called the vamp area. in any situation, your trousers should be long enough that they at least kiss the vamp of your shoe, even if you like a no break. Now, if you prefer a break like I do, which is sort of the more classical way to do it, your trousers should rest gently with a small break, right? There should be a small wrinkle that basically folds on top of your shoelaces. And the reason is this, Martha. When you're walking, people should not see your socks. Your trousers should be long enough to cover your socks when you walk, because socks are basically considered underwear. So in a way, pardon me for using this expression, but it's kind of like a lady, wearing her blouse and showing a little bit of her bra, right? Some might consider it stylish, but it's not demure, right? It's not very elegant. In the same way, when a man walks, you want your socks to stay concealed. And to be able to achieve that, the trousers need to be long enough so that when you're walking, it still covers your socks. And the only way to achieve that is to have a slight break on top of the trouser. If your trouser is too short, when you walk, your socks are going to be flashing all over the place, and it's not just not very elegant.
Okay, so then it's full, it rests on the laces, half, it rests on the vamp, and no break is anywhere above that.
Just kissing the top of the shoe.
Okay.
So it's just sort of literally just long enough to just touch when you're standing.
Now, let's do the sleeve from the blazer.
Let's talk about the jacket. So with the jacket, we're going to look at two things in terms of length. We're going to look at the sleeve length, and we're going to talk about the overall length of the jacket. Now, let's start with the sleeve length. The length of your sleeves of your jacket when you're standing, well, I'm sitting, so you can't quite see it, but when you're standing, there should be about a half or a quarter inch of your shirt showing when you're standing, okay? So when you're standing with your arms by your side, your sleeves should be cut such that your shirt shows about a half or quarter of an inch. And it's a visual trick, it's a visual illusion, because showing a little bit of your shirt makes your arm, makes it look proportional. When you don't show any shirt, or when your sleeves are too long, it looks like the jacket is too big for you. Yeah. It's just a visual trick. Even if it's not too long for you, but if you're hiding the shirt, the white on the shirt or the linen on the shirt breaks up the jacket and makes it look more proportionate. When the sleeve is too long, even if the jacket is not too long for you, it just looks to the onlooker that you're wearing a jacket that is 2 times, your size.
Oh, so now imagine when I see poor guys with the jacket, that the sleeve goes down all the way to their knuckles. Not only you don't see their shirt, you can't even see the guy's hand.
That's not good.
Not good.
Poor tailoring.
Okay, now, the length of the suit.
The length of the jacket. This is the one that really, this is another plague. I call it a plague because today a lot of men wear their jackets too short. Okay, now, let us sort of look at the history here. Women's clothing or women's jackets have been traditionally shorter, right? And the reason is simple. A woman's attraction is sort of her figure, right? And so when women wear a jacket, or especially with a skirt or sort of a trousers, right? You want to accentuate the hips, right? And so the jacket should be short enough that you can see the hips of the lady, right? Which is your femininity. Right? So it's fine for women to wear shorter jackets, but for men, it's considered vulgar because, for a gentleman, nobody wants to see your backside. Right?
Yeah, nobody wants to see your butt, honey bun.
Nobody wants to see your butt. I certainly don't want to see it. So the first rule for the length of a jacket for a gentleman is that it should completely cover your backside. Completely. It should stop just literally, anatomically speaking, right? At the curve of your behind of your seat or your abs, right? It should be long enough to sort of stop at the curve, at the bottom curve of your ass. And the idea is that you want to conceal your backside completely. So that is a proper length. Now, some prefer it slightly longer, some prefer it shorter, but at a minimum, it should cover your backside. Now, when you look at the same jacket from the front, it should be long enough to cover your crotch.
Okay.
So when you button your coat, it should be long enough that I can't see your zipper, right? I can't see your crotch. It should cover it. So two rules, again, in the service of decency, you don't want people looking at your crotch. You don't want people looking at your ass. So the jacket should be long enough. It's a security blanket, really, to cover your front and your behind. And that's just what you call it, decency.
Okay.
So again, men wear their jackets too short these days. They call it Italian style because Italians have a habit of wearing their jacket shorter. I don't know where that comes from, but that's sort of their style.
Okay, we have time for one more mistake, okay, because you and I could talk forever. But choose one. One of the biggest mistakes you want Mexican men to know.
Let's talk about the black suit because I think this is another controversial one.
Okay, shoot.
So there's a big debate about the black suit, and I'm of the view that men should not wear black suit except to funerals.
Uh-huh.
And there's a bit of history there. Back in the day, and I'm talking about maybe a couple of 100 years ago when the modern suit was invented, people wore what you call frock coats. I'm sure you've seen those coats from back in the day. It's like a black coat, a very long black coat. They wore it with either a bowler hat or like a Homburg, right?
So
and
lovely.
Sometimes they would wear it with striped trousers or checkered trousers. That was the business uniform 100 years ago, okay?
Yeah.
So that was how the color black came into the sartorial lexicon as a business uniform. But since then, we've stopped wearing frock coats and we've stopped wearing, strollers. And we now wear suits today for business. And so there are two colors that are good substitute for black in that case. Midnight blue, which is what I have on, or charcoal gray. Midnight blue or charcoal gray, and let me explain why. Black under artificial light appears as brown or green, okay? Mm-hmm. At night, for instance, it looks sort of under artificial, it sort of has sort of a brown or sort of a green tint to it. Mm-hmm. Midnight blue actually looks more elegant and it looks blacker under artificial light. It is also more elegant. It's, you can pair it with more colors. Black is very limiting in terms of what you can pair it with. You can only wear it with white.
Yeah.
You can't pair black. You can only wear a black suit with a white shirt and maybe a black tie or a silver tie. Monochromatic.
Yeah.
And navy blue or midnight allows you a wider range of things to accessorize with.
Okay, and then I have a question for you because I've seen this a lot, and every time I see it, I want to burn it down to ashes. A brown suit.
Brown suit.
Oh my Lord. I don't even know who looks good in brown.
Martha, there's nothing inherently wrong with a brown suit, but you have to wear it at the appropriate location or for the appropriate.
Yeah, but I think that you have to have this color scheme on yourself, maybe be blonde or tanned or I don't even know who looks good in brown. Brown is such a horrible color.
No. Well, it's not just, remember, Martha, there are very different shades of brown. You have tobacco. It looks beautiful in linen, for instance.
Yeah.
Like sand, which is a brown, it looks beautiful in linen.
No, I'm talking about that poop brown. You know that poop brown, that khaki brown, that terrible brown?
I know. So brown itself is not, it just has to be the right shade and it has to be done in the right fabric. So again, going back to the beginning, black suits really are very limiting. And, people have this, I don't know where people get this idea that a business suit is a black suit.
Yeah.
That was in the past, but now the two business colors are midnight blue or navy blue or charcoal gray.
Great.
They're just much more versatile.
I already invited the audience, Okey, to go check out AskOkey.com, because you can send your bespoke tailoring to any part of the world, right? Including Mexico.
Any part of the world. We have customers in Brazil. We have customers I don't know if we have customers in Mexico, but we certainly do have customers in Latin America.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you send it to any part of the world, right?
Any part of the world. Go to our website. Basically, the whole process is digital. It's very intuitive. It's very straightforward. We ship you, we make your garment, we ship you a trial garment, we confirm the fitting is perfect, and then we make you the final garment and we ship it to you by courier.
My God.
We can get to any part of the world as long as DHL or FedEx gets there, we can get to you.
Thank you so much, Okey. Let's have a second part.
Thank you, Martha.